Topic 2. Snowbike Mike, what's up? Gosh darn it, this guy looks good with the hairdo. Thanks.
Heck yeah, he does.
How's it going?
Handsome son of a gun.
Moving to topic 2. Game of Thrones. Alright, so
Also
Game
love
of
this
Thrones.
podcast.
Thank you. Game of Thrones, Mike, I'd love to have you on the podcast. I'm going to be messaging you soon. So Game of Thrones. I'm a late bloomer. Super late bloomer. Someone suggested it years ago. Who ignored it? This guy. Then someone else came along and suggested it. Who ignored it? Not this guy. So I'm finally on the Game of Thrones train. I've watched season 1 through 4 in the span of about 2 months. I watched season 1 back in November around Extra Lifetime, and then season 2, 3, 4 we kind of crushed it over the holiday break. So no spoilers past season 4. And
Has
if
she not seen past season 4?
She has.
Oh.
She's all caught up. She's rewatching it. So, if you're in the chat and you care about Game of Thrones, or at least watching it at some point, and you haven't yet, we're about to go full in-depth spoiler from season 1 through season 4. So this will be the time to go la 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 until season 3, and then we'll go from there, I guess. So, my thoughts on Game of Thrones. Kevin, you're right. I love it. God, do I hate certain parts? Yes, I know. You're always right. Do I hate certain people and certain things and blah, blah, blah? But yes, I am invested. I'm into it. Let's go. So, season 4 is where I stopped. I'm not watching season 5, 6, 7, or 8 until me and the girlfriend are reunited and we're watching it together. We have to find out a way to do that. I might get HBO's. Get out of here. And then we'll go from there. Kevin's always right. Everybody just loves you. I know. I see it. Your bestie's a lady. Snowbike Mike's already jumping on your ship on one episode that he's seen you in.
Look, I just find that people of keen minds and high intellects, we come together. Except for, I don't know how to explain Lady. She's an Avalanche fan, so she clearly can't be that high on the list.
Oh boy. Alright, so we're bros.
Yes, we are bros, but, tentative on you changing your hockey affiliation.
Ooh. There's that many seasons already? Wow, that's a lot. Yeah.
Everybody just loves you.
Thank you, Pi. Alright, so where should we start? Okay. Go Avs. Hey.
Oh boy.
Snowbike Mike.
Oh boy.
Do you want to kind of ask me my opinion on certain characters, or do you want me to just rant about things? How do we want to tackle this?
In answer to your first question, no.
No. Because we already had kind of a pre-show conversation about certain people, in a way.
I'm gonna make some very general statements.
Cool.
About Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Anytime you watch. See you later.
Bye,
Snowbike Mike. Anytime you watch any of these kinds of shows like this or Lord of the Rings, it's always just kind of guaranteed that the good guys are gonna win.
Right. Game
of Thrones is much more realistic because in the real world, the good guys do not always win.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I was watching an interview with the creator of Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire, and he was saying, you look at World War II in history, that was very clear cut. You had good guys and you had really fucking bad guys.
Right.
And he was saying, you look at the Nazis and whatever, they were so evil that they almost seem cartoonish.
Yeah.
Not to take away from what they did being very real and bad, but it's just they're so bad it just doesn't even seem likely.
Mm.
But other than that, world history is not usually always clear cut good guys versus bad guys. Right. So he wanted to make a series that was much more realistic in that way, and I think he's done a pretty good job of it because you look at Robb Stark.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, I think, that watches that show was rooting for Robb Stark and loved Robb Stark, and then look what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And Cersei is literally one of the worst women ever in the fictional world, and yet she is still safely in power and influencing the world, and that just seems terrible. But
cunt.
It's real. I didn't want to say it.
But I will, because it's true.
I didn't.
I know,
say
Kevin.
it.
I know. You didn't have to say it. I will say it. We're gonna pull a Key and Peele where you're Obama and I'm the guy in the back saying how it is.
Luther?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. I love the realism of A Song of Ice and Fire. I'd say it's a little different from your typical fantasy genre where the good guys always win.
I think that's what makes it so interesting too, and makes you so invested, is because going into this, I'm all good guys are gonna win, and then Red Wedding happens and other things happen. I'm like, just get punched in the gut repeatedly, and I'm like, fuck you, because I was telling this to Lady when the events of Red Wedding happen. I'm like, nobody's getting there. There's no finished payoff to like, oh, we're getting revenge for Ned. There's never going to be a payoff. Now, I know Arya's still alive. I know Sansa's still alive at the end of season 4. Who knows about afterwards? I'm like, there's no fucking payoff for this guy.
You forgot Jon Snow.
Oh, sorry, Jon Snow.
But
there's
Ned
no...
Stark his dad.
Well, I already know that because I know what people said at the... Yeah, there's certain things I know about the end where I'm like, oh, okay. But as of right now, where we're at, Jon Snow, Sansa, Arya, that's where we're at. I'm like, there's no payoff. There's supposed to be an overarching storyline. Something bad happens, we grow, and then payoff. There's no payoff now, because they're fucking dead.
Unpopular opinion, Jon Snow's a bitch.
Wow. I mean, kind of in ways, yeah. But in other ways, he's got his ups and downs.
Jon Snow's a bitch.
So, I'm like, ugh.
Look, everybody knows who the real king is. It's Stannis. The Manus.
And now, the chat will explode!
Look, Daenerys, okay, in theory, she is the remaining child of the former royal family that had held the throne for 300 years.
Correct.
I get it. Great. Whatever. Until she makes it back to Westeros, if that should occur.
Right.
There's only... In the realm of what's going on in Westeros, in the realm of what actually happens in kingdoms, there's only one king. His name is Stannis. Everybody else go to hell.
So... the whole kingdom thing is a whole smorgasbord of who the fuck is supposed to be there in their minds. But like you said pre-show, the lineage rule, yes, Stannis should be technically in charge.
Yep.
Not the younger sibling who I was cheering for, who
Total
then got
doucher.
Mortared.
Total doucher.
And then
Had
not
it coming.
any of the Joffrey, the siblings, any of that because of biology and, blonde kids don't come out of brown-haired people.
Except me.
Yeah, I know. I'm just... when Ned Stark was like, wait. Basic genealogy for our time.
False. Now, here's the problem with that. Gendry is a bastard.
Oh,
okay.
yeah, the
blacksmith
kid. Yep, he's locked. No, he got in a rowboat last we left him.
Yeah, but so...
the other guy.
In the Game of Thrones world, if you're a bastard, you get like a last name.
Snow.
Well, only if you're from the north.
Oh, I did not know. I didn't pick that
So
up.
you've got the 7 kingdoms, right?
Okay, thank you, lady.
So depending on what kingdom you're born in, there's a different bastard name.
Okay.
So if you're from the north, like
Jon Snow and then the Bolton kid.
yeah, Ramsay Snow.
There you go. Holy shit.
Yes, like
well,
that.
we'll get on to him.
But so your father can adopt you legally and make you a legitimate authority.
Like Ramsay.
Right. So
Excuse me.
Gendry was never made official.
Right.
And now that his father has passed, I don't believe that you can legalize him. So, no, Gendry... Well, I mean, he could become king. I mean, Robert became king, and he had, absolutely no lineage. Well, actually, that's not even true. Robert actually did have some Targaryen blood. Nobody likes to talk about that, but, his grandma or great-grandma was a Targaryen. So, technically, he had, a little bit of blood, but he wasn't enough.
Okay.
But yeah, no, Gendry has no claim, and he's cool, I guess. He's whatever. I don't know. I don't care about him at all whatsoever.
I'm fine with him.
You know, whatever. But that brings up some interesting problems later on in later seasons. Anyway,
okay.
We're not gonna worry about them.
No, we're not there yet.
We're not gonna talk about them. But
let's see. Okay, so we
it's
talked.
Stannis. Stannis is the one true king.
Stannis the Manus.
Yes.
So, I'm sure everybody's in agreement. Joffrey's a fuckwad of a person. His payoff in season 4, quite nice.
He's
Not
a
what
twat.
I was expecting. A twat, yes. Not what I was expecting. I told Kevin, as I told Lady as we were watching it, or at least after, I thought he was faking the whole poison thing, and then seeing his face afterwards, I was like, yes. So that was nice. Glad he's out of the picture. Get him out of here.
But the question is, who killed him?
Well, in the season, it seems like the grandma of Marjorie kind of admits to it, but I don't think they concrete close the door on that. But I think at one point she says yes.
So you have seen that, so yeah,
completed season 4. She did. Okay.
Yeah.
In season 4, she kind of talks to Marjorie about that because she's like, "Oh, I'm not gonna let him do that to my granddaughter." Blah 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 blah. And she's the homie too, by the way. The grandma, she's down with everybody and just speaks her mind. And nah, you're a piece of shit or whatever. I love that.
I love her and Tywin's relationship, actually.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of really good give and take there.
Yeah.
Love Tywin.
Right on to... Wait, no, Tywin's the old man. No, I'm sorry. I always mix him and Tyrion up because the tie. So you go on Grandpa rant, and then I'm going to talk Tyrion, the boy.
No, I just think, Tywin, it's just, you know where you stand with him, and if you don't go outside that system, things just fucking move. I mean, so the Mad King, alright, Tywin was his hand of the king for a long time, and while that was the case, the Seven Kingdoms were at their most prosperous and stable that they had been in a long time. And that's actually what caused the Mad King to become super jealous of Tywin, because people were giving him all the credit, which, I mean, they should have. He was the one doing it, but the Mad King was a nutcase. But,
excuse me.
Yeah, Tywin just knows how to get shit going. He gets what the reality of the kingdoms are. He knows how things have to be done. And he knows that if people step out of the line, that it has to be dealt with in certain ways, i.e. the Rains of Castamere. Those people drowned to death at Tywin's, because these people, they, weren't gonna pay their, because, the minor lords have to pay the big lord for his protection and all that.
Right.
And they wouldn't pay Tywin because his dad was such a pushover. So their city was built into the ground or whatever. Tywin literally filled their city with water, and they all died.
Jesus
That's
Christ.
why the song "Rains of Castamere," it's a play on words. But yeah, if you don't fuck him over, you don't really have much to fear. You have a lot to profit. I mean, look at Roose Bolton. You know, he does the Lannisters' bidding. He's now Warden of the North.
Right.
I'm not saying that Tywin's a good guy. I don't think he's a bad guy either. I think he was intended to be this gray area, because he's capable of love. He loves Jaime. He loves no, he doesn't really love. He loved his wife. He's just a man shaped by his time and his culture, and he knows how to get shit moving. I respect the efficiency. I do. I'm an engineer. What can I say? I don't know.
So yeah, I agree on the gray area, because when we talked about this also in pre-show, is when Arya was around as his lackey, I guess we could say, for lack of a better term. He was very kind and sincere. He was a little rough around the edges at the beginning, but he grew to like her and stuff like that, and was very trusting, I guess. That, I was like, all right, he's just a dude general doing what he's supposed to do, kind of thing. Then we get to season 4 at the very end, when Tyrion, the real true homie in my opinion, and then the whole Shay shit. So in the first in the first 4 seasons, we learn that Tywin fucked up Tyrion, his son, by setting up with a whore that he hired to marry, and it was all fake relationship, and Tyrion thought it was real. Then it turns out Dad was in charge. the same thing happens again with Shay, pretty much, essentially, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And, they just, I hated that. So, glad he's out of the picture. So, yeah, Tyrion is the one where, like, I'm behind. And I joked about it after Red Wedding. I'm like, okay, I just need to hate everybody from here on out because I was too invested in the Starks, and that's why I hurt after for a long time. I just need to go into this hating everybody. And he's the only one where I'm, like, sticking with it, kind of like behind in his corner. And I know it's going to, fucking kick me in the ass later, probably. Who knows? But he's, like, it's weird cheering for him because technically he's a Lannister, but, like, he's been pretty cool. Like,
but see, now you're judging a book by its last name.
That's what I do.
And that's
that's
just not fair to anybody.
Well, that's why I'm, like, hating everybody now. Like, oh, new person? Fuck you. Don't get invested in you. Like, for example, the Viper character, didn't really give a shit about him, but when he got his head exploded, I was like,
that was pretty fucking grody.
Okay. Oh, no, it was gross as shit, but I was like, I don't feel anything right now.
Okay.
Oh, well. I felt more for Tyrion being like, well, shit, now you're doing your whatever. You lost. But I don't know. And then, there's a lot of fucking... I had little to no reaction. No, because I didn't give a shit about him. I was like, alright, cool.
Yeah, I mean,
you won, and then you're taunting your ass off, and then your head exploded.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of interesting characters, per se, in this story, from main people to side to...
See, but you see your hate of Tywin at the end there, though. Think
Yes.
about it like this.
Yep.
When he's talking with the grandson that's going to become king, right? Like, he's giving him good advice
Yes.
on how to be a king, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that would have been the influence. Now that he's gone, the only person left to influence the new king and ruler is Cersei. So,
No,
say what you want about Tywin, but Westeros is bound for some crazy fuck.
for sure. No, I also, pre-show, talked to you about that moment, and I thought that was awesome. This is a grandpa talking to his grandson like, hey, there's a lot of shit, and you're young, just take people's advice, we'll get past this, and then when you're older, do your thing. I thought that was fine. That's why I'm like, on Tywin overall. It was just that was a gut punch at the end of where we stopped off. So yeah, I have a sour taste in my mouth. But yes, I understand the positives and the negatives of with their womanly influence.
Yeah, but Marjorie can kick rocks for all I care. She's like one of my least favorite female characters of that show. She's just like a conniving little bitch.
Which she came out to be, yeah. Like, I was fine with her when the little brother Renly, excuse me. When Renly was still around, and it was Marjorie, and then there was the brother. Like, all of them being cool with what was going on, I was down with that. I wasn't, like, fully invested in your character, but I was like, alright, that's cool. I'm glad you're forward-thinking, or whatever you want to call it, with this. And then, yeah, seeing her little behind-the-scenes sneaky shit, I'm like, oh, alright.
No.
I thought her apparel was quite funny compared to everybody else. It's either, here's my boobs, or I'm going to collect rainwater. I was like, what?
Game of Thrones.
Yeah. So yeah, we got a plethora of characters going on here. We want to start talking about some of the crackpot characters. They're like off the walls crazy. We got crazy ass sister living on is it the Erie or the Isles? I think it's the Erie.
Erie.
With the hole.
Yeah, the moon door.
Yeah, the moon door. Her crazy ass son sucking on a titty when he's 10. We got Ramsay torture a lot, everything. Let's see. Theon just being Theon.
Theon's a tragic character. And that you have to wait a little bit more, but you'll see there's like a full circle moment at one point where you're sitting there going, oh, fuck. This guy is just a victim of circumstance. Like, one complaint I have with Game of Thrones is the Ironborn and how they're depicted.
Is that Theon's family?
Yeah, like,
Okay.
well, like, the people that live on the Iron Islands. In the books, these people are, like, Vikings. You know, like, they're super badass. Like, they're a very small island group, and yet somehow they have been kicking the shit out of everybody in Game of Thrones land for, like, fucking ever.
Okay.
And I don't know, like, they just, like, came off as douchebags. Like, they're just so much cooler in the show, or in the books. Like, he's not in the show ever, but in the books, Theon has an uncle called Victarion, who's, like, the admiral of their fleets. The dude is a badass motherfucker. He literally destroyed the entire Lannister fleet on his own during, like, the first war after the Targaryens were ousted. Mm-hmm. These people are badass, and yet they're, like, sending, like, 12 people to take Winterfell. Like, fuck you. No. That's not how the Ironborn roll. Like, I don't know. I get, like, in the books, Theon attacked Winterfell with a small force. I get it. But, like, I don't know. They just didn't come off like they should have when these people are literally, like, based off the Viking people. Vikings are badass motherfuckers. That's all I'm going to say about that. But, yeah. Yeah, about that. I don't know. I think it's cool how, like, George R.R. Martin incorporates, like, actual history into the books, too. Like, so the Wall is based off,
China.
No.
Damn.
So, like, when the Romans invaded England, they started heading up to Scotland.
Okay.
And so, like, people from Ireland came over to Scotland, and the Scottish were there, and they were going to fight the Romans. And, like, my ancestors used to paint themselves blue, and they'd be naked, and they'd go into combat, and the Romans were just so, like, what the fuck? That they were like, you know what? We don't care about anywhere north of this point here. So they built a wall called Hadrian's Wall to keep, like, the Celts and the Celtic people out, and they're like, fuck it. Fuck these people. This is a wall. You don't come south of it. We won't go north. That's it. Yeah. So, like, the wall is that, and, like, the wildlings are, like, you know, the Celtic people.
Right.
Then, like, the Red Wedding is based off an actual Scottish wedding that happened where there was, like, a huge massacre.
Wow.
And then, like, the whole, like, fighting back and forth for, like, control of the throne, that is literally all based off of the Wars of the Roses that happened in England. And I read a book about it, and the crazy shit about it is, the Wars of the Roses is so much fucking crazier than anything that happened in Game of Thrones, and that was real life. Like, dude, there were like 5 or 6 kings of England in the space of, like, a year at one point, and they all just kept fucking killing each other. And it's just like, I was reading the book, and I'm like, dude, George R.R. Martin watered this shit down for this series, and when you realize that, you realize humanity is fucked.
So, backtracking to the Wall.
The water.
Because there was something I learned about this series, I think it was season 2, that I was highly disgusted with or unhappy with. So, as someone who hadn't watched the show, obviously had seen promo images and merchandise and whatever. White Walkers. I thought, man, these guys look cool. You know, all the white skin, how their faces are intricate, the hair, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, they look really cool. So season 1, when I hear White Walkers, I'm like, yeah, let's go. Don't see them for a while. Rip. Season 2, we learn, well, in season 1, we learn about the zombie shit. You die in the north, you don't burn the body, they're a zombie now. They work with the White Walkers. Season 2, we see this big army of zombies. And I become pissed. I'm like, we have these cool White Walker people, and then you got all these jobbers. I'm just...
Well, so the thing about that is, when the wall was built, there were these people called the Children of the Forest.
Yep.
They come up in the show.
Is that the kids?
Yeah.
Yeah. We just saw the Jesus tree and
so when they were building the wall, the Children of the Forest put a spell into the wall, and the White Walkers cannot attack the wall or go south of it while that magic is there. So that's why they're just kind of wandering around aimlessly, but also the more wildlings they kill, which is while the wildlings are fleeing, the more soldiers they have.
Right. No, I get that. I get the the logic behind it. But I want way more of those guys. Those look cool.
Without spoilers, you're gonna get a shitload of them.
Yes. Good. Because I'm like, what? What?
See, God damn it! I wish you were I think a season short of this one scene I want to talk about so bad, and yet...
Is it the baby with the king?
No.
Okay.
That was cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not like a spoiler. It's just you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, yeah.
So they obviously can turn dead bodies into soldiers, right?
Yep.
But you never actually really see that happen. You just you see it happen, but you don't know how they do it.
Right.
And there's just one scene where one of the White Walkers just goes like this, and all these dead bodies just stand up, and you're like, oh, fuck.
Okay.
Dude, these people are gonna wreck shit.
Mm-hmm. And then that was a question I had. It was a dumb question. So when they're attacking, the wildlings are attacking the wall with the giants and all that.
You're probably thinking, where are the White Walkers?
No. So they're attacking at night. They're shooting their arrows from the wall. If a guy died, however, at night through that attack, would they immediately reanimate into a zombie, or do we have to wait a full 24-hour period?
This isn't like the Walking Dead, where if you die, you will come back.
Mm.
One of the White Walkers has to be there and perform that magic.
Okay. So they don't know that. That's why they're like, oh, burn the bodies, or whatever.
No,
or it's just they can reanimate them whenever.
Yeah, so their basic idea of burning the bodies is if we burn them now, we don't have to try and kill them later.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, it might be season 1, when the first zombies resurrect at the wall itself, were they playing possum until they could strike?
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's how my boys, the White Walkers, roll.
Everybody be cool. You're just gonna go in there.
Shut the fuck up, pretend you're dead.
Okay. Alright. Then that makes sense, because it's
and I'm not really sure if it's just one of those things that once they were sure that the bodies were there, they reanimated them from a distance. I don't know.
Okay.
But
it has to be a spell.
Yeah, there's a spell there. Yeah, because they're awesome.
Mm-hmm. And then the discovery of the dragon glass. That's cool. And Sam getting the first kill. Yeah. And then he gives all of it away. He doesn't keep any for himself. That's a little discouraging, but whatever.
Well, so Dragonstone Island, where Stannis was based for a long time.
Okay.
It's this island off of, actually really close to King's Landing.
Okay.
The whole island is Dragonstone.
Oh.
Or Dragonglass.
Oh.
So, now that they, the whole idea, I guess, is now that they know that it is effective, go down there and make it.
Okay.
Yeah, because all those daggers that they came across were the Knights, or the Children of the Forest had an agreement with the Night's Watch where every year they'd give them a certain amount of Dragonglass weapons.
Ah.
But I don't know if that was still going on at the time of Game of Thrones or if that was something from the ancient times, but that's what Sam found. He found an old cache.
Yeah, it was on a fist was the landmark or something.
Yeah.
That they dug up randomly.
Yeah.
In
Dude,
the snow.
But when you're watching Sam, Ed, and whatever the fuck the other guy's name is, Griff, when they're out looking for
with
food
those
or
John's
something.
Boys.
Yeah, and then you hear the horn blow once, and they're like, "Oh, Rangers coming back." And then twice, Wildlings, and then they're third time, and everybody's like, "Uh-oh."
Yeah, and then they just book it.
Yeah, when I was watching that, I'm like, "What does the third one mean?" And the next you know, you just see the Army of the Dead. I'm like,
well, yeah, they talked about it earlier because Sam read it in a book.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I picked up on that, and then, yeah, that was interesting that they just, the White Walker's sup, and just let him be.
So, there's a lot of really, if you get on Reddit, and you look at, the Game of Thrones discussions going on, you shouldn't do that now, because you haven't read all the stories, or seen all the shows yet, but there's a lot of debate about whether the White Walkers are actually the good guys of the story. And I'm not saying that that's true or not, because I don't see a whole lot of validity to it, but there's some really interesting points brought up, and you're sitting there going, Oh.
It's one of those theories that makes you rethink everything.
Yeah. I don't know. Now, when you see Bran...
Yeah.
When you last saw Bran, what was he doing?
So he just was talking to the old man.
Yeah.
The boy died with the skeletons outside. The sister's in there. Hodor's in there. Did the wolf make it in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're in there. They met the little girl
Summer.
Summer thing. Yeah, Summer's the dog. Yeah. And then they're talking to who I call Jesus, who's just the old man, Father Time, sitting there. And he's like, "You're gonna be able to fly," and I'm like, "What?" So that's where I left him off. And apparently, according to Lady, we're not even gonna see them for
a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's. Oh, fuck. That brings up some other cool shit that I can't bring up right now.
Okay, gotcha. So, anyways, he's doing his own warg thing, which, man, you really feel for Hodor. I mean, I know something with Hodor's coming up, but man, you feel for Hodor when he notices he killed a dude for the first time after Bram took over.
He's like a child.
Yeah, he's like, fuck, and that sucks. I mean, I get why Bram has to do it, because, paralyzed and whatever, and he's their best weapon at least, but it sucks, just seeing that. So yeah, he's up there. I kept making fun of the little brother.
Oh, I hate that kid.
Yeah.
Rickon?
Yeah. I like peanuts. Billy climbs the tree fastest. No one gives a fuck about Billy climbing the tree.
I don't like Rickon. He's just a stupid character,
yeah.
And even in his role in the show and his role in the books end up diverging quite a bit, but either way, he's fucking useless to the storyline, and it's just George, why bother? That kid should have just been aborted. I mean,
whoa. Okay.
And I don't know. Alright, look, there's only 2 members of the Stark family that I actually give a shit about. Ned and Robb. Everybody else in that family can fuck right off. Alright, I mean, I guess Arya's cool. She's got her own journey that she's gonna go on that's kind of cool, I guess. I don't know. Catelyn's just a whiny bitch, and when she got killed at the Red Wedding, I just was so glad I didn't have to hear her fucking voice anymore.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's the actress or if it was the character itself, because in the books, she's just such a hemming and hawing little bitch, and
I was fine with her.
I don't know, she's super douche to Jon, which I get that she thinks that, he's Ned's bastard or whatever.
That one scene where she's like, "Oh, I prayed, and then he got sick, and then I prayed to make him better, but I couldn't hold up my deal." I'm like, alright, fuck you.
No, I'm just sick of her shit, and I don't know.
I was fine with her, except for that one scene where she's like, "Oh, I couldn't love him." I'm like, okay, bitch.
Again, if every member of the Stark family except Ned and Robb suffered painful, horrifying deaths, I really wouldn't have cared. It would have been oh, Ned and Robb, at least we have the good ones. But no.
We get B team.
No, first off, let me just say this. The guy that plays Robb is super cool. He's Scottish, he's got that cool accent thing going on, women love him, I get it, he's a handsome guy. Let's just, his name should be Handsome Robb, like the dude from Italian Job. Alright? Rest in peace. Yeah, I think it might have been her, because she's got kind of a smoker voice, that kind of smoky, kind of gravelly voice.
I guess.
I don't know, she irritated the shit out of me. I'm not gonna try and justify that, because if you don't feel the same way, you're an idiot, but no, I got sick of her shit. Yeah, but
in that situation,
look at Walder Frey though. What was his daughter gonna
I marry more daughters.
Look at it like this from Robb's perspective. He's from the north. Literally the least diverse place in the kingdoms, other than maybe the Iron Islands. And then this really exotic chick from Essos shows up, and she's, cute, and she's different. My man couldn't help himself.
Oh, no, I don't think we're blaming that. I think what Lady was getting at is, how he thought, like, oh, I betrayed your trust. Everything's cool.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. In the world of Game of Thrones, if somebody invites you into their home and they extend that protection, like, the whole point, Catelyn kept pressing, like, are you going to feed us, are you going to feed us in the book? And they did feed them, and the whole understanding was, as soon as somebody brings you into your house and feeds you...
You're fine.
Yeah, because, like, your honor would not permit. So him doing that was, like, completely unheard of.
Right.
So we're talking about a world where your word is supposed to be your honor, and you're supposed to cling to that. Mm-hmm. It's kind of similar to, like, I know, like, friends of mine that were in Afghanistan said if the elders invite you into their home and they serve you tea, they're putting you under their protection.
Nice.
So that's considered, like, a huge thing, and when somebody does that, you know that they're cool with you at that moment.
Yeah.
So, for Walder Frey to have gone against that shows, one, he's a douche, but then two, it was an absolute violation of everything that culture believed in. So that's why Robb walked into that.
Big thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then they mounted his wolf's head on his body.
Mm-hmm.
That was just fucking weird. Like, those Frey people, man, like,
well, they're all inbred.
You live on a bridge.
Sisters.
I mean, you might as well live under your fucking bridge.
They are trolls.
I don't know.
Yeah, that was silly. That was rough. What else we got? I like the Tyrion's, like, guard guy that just he hired to fight for him. That
Bronn.
Yeah, he's cool. And now he's getting married to some other random chick we don't know.
Yeah, he's getting married.
The Hound was a nice arc. He's still kind of an ass, but that was a nice arc. Can we talk about Edmure's face when he sees the bride? Yeah, that was pretty funny. How he's like so...
Yeah, but so the question you gotta ask yourself after you watch The Red Wedding, and I asked myself, was, wait, what happened to Edmure?
Oh, he's probably destroyed.
Maybe.
Well, we'll never know, I guess.
Because look at it like this. Edmure was the heir to Riverrun.
Mm-hmm.
So... him being married to the daughter of Walder Frey means that Walder Frey's family is now linked into the rule of Riverrun, which is a huge and prosperous area. So the thought I had coming away from that was he's not dead because they need him.
Riverrun is where now?
It's like Walder Frey is like a mini lord of Riverrun. Riverrun is like just south of the north.
Okie dokie.
But so my whole thought process was Walder Frey probably just wants that dude to pump a kid into his daughter, and then
we'll take care of whatever.
That was my theory.
Gotcha.
Because Walder Frey is a sick fuck.
Yeah. Let's see. Any other big points that we haven't really hit on, or characters? Talked about Hound. Mountain, something's going on with him, with the guy who made the hand for Jaime.
Qyburn, yeah, that dude's a creep.
I keep making fun of it, like Mecha Mountain. He's gonna make him into a robot, but I don't know. We didn't talk about Stannis' girlfriend, the Red Priestess, and the whole religion. So, first, you pump a baby into her, and it's a demon that kills somebody. Yeah. And now she's bullshitting off leeches, which just... perchance luck that 2 out of 3 of these leeches have died so far, or at least the people they named.
Yeah, but see, you say it's luck, but Beric Dondarrion's Red Priest has brought him back to life multiple times.
Which is also fucked up.
So, what I came away with, and what my opinion still is that there is something to the Red God. Mm-hmm. We just don't know what the fuck his deal is. Mm.
That's the God of Light, right? That's the
Lord of Light.
Okay, yeah. So, like... I couldn't remember for the life of me who the third leech named was. Was it Tywin? They had Robb Stark they named. They had Joffrey they named.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was Tywin, because if so, then fuck me.
No,
I didn't even think about it.
It wouldn't have been Tywin because he's not a king. They were killing off all the pretender kings. Was it Daenerys? I haven't seen that in so long now.
Okay. Because, yeah, we hit a block where we just couldn't think of who the fuck the third
It wasn't Renly, because Renly was already dead.
Right, he was the demon
thing.
Okay, because, yeah, the way it was Balon Greyjoy, which is that the Theon's dad?
Oh, yeah, maybe it was Balon.
It's the dad, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so nothing's happened to him. Because, yeah, I get what you're saying now with, like, the guy's been brought back to life, so there is legitimacy there. But me, I think I might have said it before I saw that guy get resurrected, was like, oh, this bitch is just lucking out. There's other things happening. She's going to be like, my magic works!
No, so,
That's what Google told me.
Theon said, yeah. The thing with Melisandre is she doesn't have a super great grasp on what her abilities are.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the priest, like, when she's talking to the priest that's with Beric Dondarrion,
yep,
and it gets brought up at one point that he resurrected him.
Yep.
She's totally taken back by it.
Oh, yeah, she's like, how many times did you come back and stuff like that?
Because she's not fully trained or fully knowledgeable on what she can do. So for her right now, I feel like she's throwing darts out there to see what can I do.
What sticks. Mm-hmm.
And that's going to get interesting.
And then we got the Stannis' daughter with, like, the dragon scales or skin condition, whatever. Apparently she's important. Apparently she's important, and Melisandre's interested in her.
She's kind of important.
Well, I mean, at least from where they left off, like, you need to bring your daughter, or whatever.
Well, because according to her, the thing that I find really stupid about it is she keeps talking about she needs a king's blood.
Yeah.
Right? Now, technically, if Stannis is king,
take his blood.
His daughter has the king's blood.
Right.
So, you gotta figure she's trying to use her for something.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole thing that's ridiculous about that is so many of the people in the show that, I don't know, claim to be kings really aren't. So it's like, I don't know how you know whose blood is going to be sufficient.
Oh.
Because, like, Gendry's a bastard of a usurper. Like, how is his blood king's blood?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like the only people that would legitimately have king's blood are the Targaryens, but...
So that's the thing about Game of Thrones that I learned when watching this is, holy shit, you need a pen and paper to write down who the fuck who is. Like, I'm surprised I'm catching on to as much as I am. Like, season 1...
It's because you watched it all at once.
True. But, like, I mean, like, even just keeping track of, like, who's doing what, who's related to who. Like, obviously, you can tell. I still have to ask. There's so many goddamn players in this fucking thing, and we can wipe them out at any point, and we can add a shit more at any point. It's just like,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's circling back to what we talked about at the beginning, how it's not a traditional good guy wins.
Yeah, it's not your typical fantasy.
I think that's what makes it so appealing, and that's why I like it so much. And thank you for recommending it. Thank you for making me watch it, lady. Zip it. And I look forward to watching the rest. I don't know if I want to catch up before season 8 and then watch it week to week, because I think that'll kill me.
No, you have to do it that way. There's a catharsis in your pain.
But week to week.
I know. Dude, let me just put it to you like this.
Mm-hmm.
During not this latest season, was it the latest season?
7?
Yes, 7. I'm trying to remember what the time frame is. 7 was last year. No, year before. Yeah, year before. It's been a while since the last Game of Thrones episode. I was working on the ship, and thankfully I was in Norfolk, and it was like every Sunday I was waiting for it to, because like I had the HBO app on my phone, and I couldn't watch it live. You have to wait till it comes on after.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, on the app after. But then you had to wait like another hour or two because all these other people were coming in and tuning in, so it would keep crashing. So you'd have to wait.
Yeah.
So I'd wait till like 4 or 5 hours after it showed. I'd be out in my truck, and I went to this gas station called Dodgers because they had really good chicken and food. I'd go get a shitload of food. I'd park up in the back of my truck, have all this great food, and I'd be sitting there with my phone in front of me watching Game of Thrones. And let me tell you, it adds a little spice to your life.
Just a little event.
Yeah, it's a little thing you look forward to. Like, it becomes a part of your life for that. You gotta catch up.
Okay.
I'll restart my HBO and you can borrow my account or something.
Well, thanks.
Because, yeah, you gotta catch up, because I got so much more shit to talk to you about. And it's really bothering
Kev
me.
comes back. Game of Thrones rant part 2.
Yeah, because I think it starts again this year, right?
Yeah.
I want to say, like, May. April or May, so we're getting close.
Yep.
Might like, oh, fuck, I'll be on a ship then, and I probably won't be here.
That's alright. We'll talk about it. It will be the season 5 to season 8 part 2, just conglomerate of shit.
I have to, like, binge watch as a motherfucker when I get home. Oh, God, that's gonna be terrible. Because you know what's the problem? Every time you go online on the news sites, they always say, like, oh, you won't believe it happened in Game of Thrones. And I'll be sitting there going, no, shut up, go!
Close the window!
No, you gotta catch up and you gotta wait like the rest of us so you can feel it. Because otherwise you're never gonna have that feeling again about the show.
True.
Like having to wait week to week.
Yeah.
And it's fun because the whole week in between, people are online coming up with fan theories about what this episode really meant.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so fun to kind of like explore those thought processes and being like, oh, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Instead of, here's the result already or whatever.
Yeah. No, I get, like, the fun of binge watching is there, because I didn't start watching until it was into the beginning of season 3. So I was able to binge watch 1 and 2, and that was because my uncle, I was staying at their house briefly for, like, an overnight, and he said something like, oh, you're watching Game of Thrones, well, I'm like, oh, yeah, how is that? I heard about it, and he goes, dude, there's a lot of really awesome violence. If you like Braveheart, you'll love this, and he's like, plus there's hot chicks everywhere. And I was like,
sold.
All right. Well played, sir.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll get on that.
Yeah, you better.
Alright.
Also, I have something you might be interested in.
Ooh. AKA, I need to partake in it or else I'll be pissed at me again if I don't.
No, so, like,
after a while.
George R.R. Martin started writing these books back in, like, the early 90s.
Okay.
And he had two, because, like, early on, there weren't, like, a lot of people, I mean, because it's like if you go into Barnes & Noble, there's all these series of fantasy and science fiction books, right? And, like, most people might not go into Barnes & Noble looking for that,
right.
You know? So, he had, like, a really small fan base at first, and then people started being like, yo, like, I just read this book, you gotta read, it's so freaking good, you know? So, it grew by word of mouth until finally HBO was like, yo, let's make a show out of this, right? But, so... when he first started writing, he had these two fans that were married to each other, obviously. But, like, one was from, like, Spain and one was from somewhere else. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But they were married and they're in the U.S. and they were writing him, like, if, like, in one scene, let's say he said Tyrion in the book had blue eyes or something, and then the next scene he said, like, green eyes, they would, like, write to him, like, yo, dude, you, like, consistency issue, right? So he was like, oh, God, you know, I'm sorry, you know, it's just so many characters, so many things, I forget little details. But anyway, they created a book, like, about that big, and it has literally the backstory and history of everything in Game of Thrones, like, all the different families, the wars that took place before. You read through that, like, you don't have to read it all, but, like, if you're interested in, like, okay, what's the deal with the Greyjoys, like, what's their history, you can flip to their section and read through it, and it's got literally everything. Awesome book.
Cool.
I won't see you again for a while, so I can't get it to you.
Yeah.
But it's really awesome, and it makes everything a lot easier to kind of grasp. So, yeah, it's pretty great. My buddy told me to get it because he's a huge Game of Thrones guy. Like, he read all the books, and he literally... Alright. What I'll do is, I'll look it up.
As you do.
As I want to do. He just wrote another book, though. George R.R. Martin.
They did?
I saw it in Barnes & Noble. It's a brand new book, and it's about, like, the history of the kingdom before, and I'm like, dude, finish the fucking main books, and then we can deal with the pre-shit. Okay. Yeah, the world... Alright, lady, it's called The World of Ice and Fire, The Untold History of Westeros and the Game of Thrones. It's him, Elio M. Garcia Jr., and Linda Antonsen. But, really good, I recommend it. It's kind of like a collector's thing, like, once you have it, you're going to be glad you have it.
Cool. Very nice.